Okay. And so the podcast really acts as an incentive for us each week to have that designated time to link in. It's like, yeah, I ain't talked to you yet, but let me tell you about this. Or you can really decompress. It gives you the opportunity to just kind of let your hair down because you know you're in a safe space. These are my girls. I can share good news. Like 2 weeks ago, I'm like, whew, tears just coming. Monica like, I just want to give you a hug. Actually, like, what's going on? And that's normally not my character, but it is that time that we get to connect that we do genuinely look forward to each week. Even if we're tired, we still, at the end of the day, it's all laughs. And at the end of the day of the pod, you can't even get us off the phone. It's like, okay, we got to go.
Right, because when you said 3 hours, I'm like, oh, right. I was like, oh, y'all be getting it in.
Get a man, get a life. I agree with Teresa and Monica for sure. And I think that balance is maybe a little bit of the conflict in the beginning. That was kind of the root of it, just incorporating something else into our lives that was scheduled, that was weekly, that you had to commit to. And it was difficult for me because we kind of had our structure here, and we recorded in the evenings. And so kind of leaving the family and then coming back. And at one point I was driving to Milwaukee from Madison and then driving back after the pod. It got kind of stressful. And so the fact that, as Monica said and Tree said, instead of looking at it, of course it's a commitment. And after all of that kind of became a routine or structure, my family adapted. People know, you know, hey, it's Wednesday night. This is what we're doing. At the time, I think it was Tuesday. But after all of that was said and done, it started to shift. Like you guys said, how you shifted, like how it was done weekly or what works for you then, you know, didn't work, you know, today or yesterday. But it started to shift. And so when it started to shift and I started to look at it like, I'm just talking to my girls. It's not that deep, as Streets was saying, like relax. And this is our outlet. It was something to look forward to. And so, you know, it's been great, but it was a little difficult for me at first to balance, just adding something. I am a little bit rebellious in nature as well. And so anything that's like scheduled for me, I don't want to do, not necessarily because I don't want to do it, but just because of schedule, I'm weird like that. And so this was a time frame that I had to commit to, and it was scheduled, and that was difficult. And I kind of was fighting it a little bit, but it's actually been the best thing for me. It's actually bled into other areas of my life. But yeah, we know that the pod is girl time and we can vent. And it's been pretty amazing. So it's something to look forward to every week.
Every week. So then, does anybody have any history with like either like communication or vlogging, blogging, or like, I guess my question is more so like, how does this gel with the purpose that you feel like you have for your life?
That's good.
Great question. That
is an amazing question.
I was just going to say,
we are the Oprahs of the Good News Radio.
Yes, you are.
I think the podcast has helped us individually kind of identify our individual purposes as we're continuing to tap into that. And so there's going to be some overlap, you know, but I think it's the best outlet for us to talk about it because we talk about goals all the time. We talk about purpose and living legacy and what we want that to be. And so obviously we all have like this major Christian faith-based belief. So we believe in speaking things into existence and manifestation. And so a lot of times just talking it out with the two, you know, my friends, my girls, you know, it's a good way to kind of sort out the thought process and what that looks like and how that. I've had many of conversations with Monica and like, I want to do this, I don't really know where to go. And she's like, girl, just do it. She'll give you the pep talk. And I shared something with Ashley a few weeks ago and she was like, that's going to be amazing. You know, so I think we all just have the gift to gab. So, you know, to say it very loosely, we just do. And so in some way there will be that outlet for us that the podcast has provided. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. So originally, before life happened, I'll say, I wanted to be a broadcast or journalism major. And so that was my thing. It was some things that I was able to do in high school. Gumbo, as Teresa and I talked about. We were in the writing area, but we wanted to be in the television
on the Tizu.
Yeah, we did. What was that show called? Teen Summit.
Teen Summit was lit.
So Gumbo was a part of that. I don't know how we got into the writing side.
Yeah.
But that's something that we were interested in. And so it's always been, I guess, a goal of mine. And life happened. And just like, it happens with some people, you kind of put unfortunately, those dreams or goals to the side. I had a family to take care of. And so I quickly entered the healthcare realm and just kind of stayed there. But I always kind of suppressed that love or that passion for media and journalism in the industry. And so much that, if you don't use those skills, you don't realize, that you could lose them a little bit, or they need to be sharpened. And so the timing of this podcast was interesting because I had not just, but about a year prior to us starting it, I had just left healthcare altogether. And this was the first time since I've been 19 that I didn't work. And so I remember, being a little nervous about it, and that's not me. Very, very nervous about it. And so thanks to the ladies to help me just go for it. Particularly Monica, just let's do it. Are we going to do this or not? And really executing it. But I quickly learned when we got into it, one, sometimes you can get into your own head, but that my skills they just weren't where they were. And so it made me start to second guess some things. And it was a really weird space because this is something that I'm passionate about. This was a dream of mine. And I just felt like, I don't know what this looks like for me. And so it was interesting, but I'm so thankful for it because the more we do it, the more, those skills get sharpened, you get into it and you realize maybe that wasn't, the place for me, or maybe it looks like this now. And so I love the podcast because as you guys mentioned, you have that freedom to create and do it your way, and learning how to be comfortable in that realm and speaking. And the fact that we do it every week has really helped me hone and tap back into those skills. And it's actually helped me realize what my purpose is today. And though it is speaking, and like Tree said, we do have the gift of gab, it's more about the wellness and the healing and talking to people, and more on even a one-on-one basis, instead of maybe this big platform where I wanted to be this broadcast journalist or this, anchor or VJ. I realized through the podcast that my favorite part of it is touching others. And I think that's our favorite part of it, that people relate to us, and wellness and healing and speaking to others. So it's helped me transition into a different field now, which details later, but it's helped me actually rediscover my purpose. And at the beginning of this thing, I felt so lost, and I've been able to find myself. And so I'm really thankful for it. It's more than just a podcast. It has forced me to look deeper into myself, and us to kind of really look within and see what it is that we need to do and what our purpose is. And it's because of the conversations that we have. It's because of the feedback that we get from listeners. It's because you do something every week. So it's what is the purpose of this? What are we doing with it? And so though it's fun, it does have a deeper meaning. So yeah, definitely wasn't by accident, and timing of it was perfect. So
I agree. So I'm into social media, and so I think a lot of times people think that I like to talk, and I really don't. And so this platform has helped me because I think Treese and Ash are amazing speakers, and I admire that about them. And so through this, it has gotten me to start vlogging and actually talking on social media, and I got a YouTube, and I had been doing a lot of different things on social media. And so it was always leading me to wonder, what is my purpose? Because, I get people telling me that, things were inspiring them or encouraging them. And like Ash said and Tree said, it just brings us back on home to the podcast where like our purpose there is to just like serve people. Like we are able to, you know, highlight Black businesses or tell people about voting and, you know, make people laugh. We have listener letters. And I think just hearing the impact that people have just like on episodes and like, ooh, yeah, I got to do my work day or even when people get mad, like, y'all ain't got no episode this week. It's like, oh, we were looking for an episode.
Right.
Our bad.
It just brings on home like our service to people and how we make an impact on like our listeners, and that means the world to us.
Absolutely.
I love
that.
Oh, that's so cute. So, because what I'm hearing is, you know, it serves you, right? It's helping you guys sharpen each other. It's helping you grow, find your passion, find your purpose, and then obviously it's serving other people. People are looking for it. And I know, and Ashley, you were talking about how you like to do one-on-one, and I remember you guys were doing the Ask Miss Ash. So, like, it makes sense. You know, it's clicking. It's clicking. It makes sense. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you guys have special roles? Like one of you do something, one of you do the other thing, or does everybody just do?
It's like little things though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Ash does the edits. Like you talk to Duke or that Trees.
We used to. It was a little bit of a conflict with my working schedule, and so Ash will pick up. We just kind of cover where we can.
Yeah. She does a lot of uploading, Ash, to like the episode.
Listen to the episode to make sure, you know, ain't nothing crazy in there. And then I'm responsible for uploading it. So even if it's to the group, like if it's not uploaded yet, I feel the pressure. Like, let me get it.
Because even when I was in the studio, I was like the timekeeper, like, dude, at this time, listen, I would have to give him a whole transcript, like, dude, cut this. Dude, there was a little digitization here. You to go ahead and take care of. But like with the social media, we rotate and share that responsibility weekly.
Okay. So how do you all record now?
FaceTime.
Oh.
Which is nice because we still, I mean, obviously we had to sort through any kind of like audio or technical difficulties, but it's nice because we all are in 3 different locations. We still get to visibly see one another. And so that makes a difference with the chemistry and how the pod is flowing. But I want to see their beautiful faces every week.
Aww.
Yeah, we went through a transition with that because I was in Madison, but I was coming through. But then Monica moved to Atlanta, so I was in Madison. Teresa's in Milwaukee. Monica is in Atlanta, and so, you know, people were asking, especially when Monica was going to Atlanta and announcing her move, like, well, what's gonna happen to the podcast? And that was some growing pains as well, just finding what worked for us. Thank you for first of all the listeners that listened to us during that time, because I know they worked for the best episodes and they were probably very difficult to get through. So we appreciate you guys. I even appreciate the people who are like, when y'all get it together, we'll be back. And so that was difficult. And it's so interesting. We tried different platforms. First of all, appreciate us for not giving up, but try different you know, apps and everything. And we found out prior to group FaceTime, we found out that just a FaceTime or group, what is it? Audio. Yeah, it worked for us, like a 3-way call. You know? Yeah, and all we needed was our Apple phones and the headphones, and that was it. And so we were like, after all this we tried, we had subscriptions and you just a lot of
kind of timing.
It was a mess. And so, and I didn't want to travel, so I was really stressed out because I'm like, how can we make this work? And so we found out that worked, within the group FaceTime really worked for us because now we can see each other because it's 3 of us. And you know, timing. The reason it's 3 hours is because sometimes Teresa and I can get a little lengthy, but we need to kind of see each other to not over talk each other or timing. And so group FaceTime is a blessing to us. And then lo and behold, you know, the pandemic happened and we were well equipped because we had already gone through those growing pains. And now we see so many people doing that. You know, your biggest platforms are via Zoom or FaceTime. And so it worked. And I'm glad we were a little bit ahead of our time with that. because we didn't have to go through those growing pains in the middle of a pandemic. But
Yeah.
it works. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Sure. Ooh,
That's a word right
here.
there. Where there's a
Sure
will, there's a way. I
is.
remember we did one episode and like we were on the phone or something, and I was like, "Oh, I do not like that."
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. And then we switched over to Zoom and we bombed.
Yeah.
Like we ain't never looked back.
Yeah, and we
So-
were like, "Why didn't we think of this?"
Right.
It's so crazy because, like you said, we went through a host of technical issues as well, especially trying to be in our own studio. Like, shouts out to the Good News Radio for putting up with us, and shouts out to Dooch for putting. We gonna ride that white limo till the wheels fall off.
Because you don't know what you don't know. So like coming into it, like I'm a little bit like you, Ashley, where, you know, I wanted to do broadcast too, like growing up. So I thought I knew some stuff, but then once we got in this podcast, like, bro, you really don't know. So you have to like learn and figure it out. So definitely shout out to Dooch and shout out to Keep Good News for helping and assisting. Like, oh, well, y'all need this cord, or you need to buy this, or maybe you should try this. So it's definitely like we've had some episodes where we like,
Man, and I mean, all the editing in the world wouldn't bring that thing back. And I'm like, Trace, I'm like, there was some digitization in there. I'm gonna need you to get that out. I'm gonna need it out. I don't like how it sounds. I can hear the air. Why is it sounding airy? I don't like this.
Listen, we were so self-conscious because we do pride ourselves on delivering quality content. And that also translates to Audible. We want it to be something that is good for our listeners, something that we can be proud of. And sometimes it was very cringy, but we are so appreciative for those who stuck with us through this time and trying to figure it out.
And like you said, Ashley, where there's a will, there's a way. You just gotta throw everything at it and see what sticks.
Yes.
Right. Something will stick eventually.
Yes. Right.
Man.
Just keep swimming.
There was one episode we put out and I just had to put a disclaimer in the front. I was like, now look, y'all. It's not our best work.
Right.
We some amateurs over here. But this episode is so good if you can get past.
Right. And it was such a good episode too. We was like, nigga.
Right. Like,
always the best one.
Right, guys. It's always the best one.
Like, when we was up here just BS and talking, I didn't want to be up. And now we have like a real great episode. And here we are. But, you learn. And as you learn, and like Tree said, like you do want to give the best quality to your listeners because, you all have diehard fans. We have diehard fans, and they want to hear like what they've been accustomed to, that quality sound. So we get it too.
And then you want it to be something that you would listen to.
Absolutely.
Because if you was like, this sound like crap, I can't even hear what she's saying. Click.
Done.
Done.
But they've given us some grace.
Absolutely.
Shouts out to the fans, man.
Yes,
to
all the listeners
for holding all of us down.
Yes, I love it. But Ashley, you said something too where you was like, it's more than just a podcast. Like that kind of sat on my heart for a minute because that's very true. Like, we've gone into this like, wow, like I think we could record our girlfriend conversations. This is great. Like, let's do it. But the feedback that we've gotten and some of the episodes that we've had and some, that you all have had really like speak to so many people, and you'll have people like, wow, that episode was like life-changing, or it made me have this conversation with my mom or my dad, or I'm gonna go get a breast cancer screening because you all had this episode about that. So it is very powerful, and it makes me think back to our last episode about like just Black girl magic and women empowerment. Like we're very thankful that you all are on our show today because we do like want to make sure people know that it's some dope women out here doing really great things. And it's just really like, I want people to listen and be like, wow, like Black women can get along. They can collaborate. They can do great things together because you see it right here. Like,
and we're creatives.
Absolutely.
Like we're creatives. And whenever I think about the podcast, I think about access. Like you have access to someone's ears for an hour, 3 hours, 30 minutes, whatever that is. You're pouring into them. What are you saying?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Are you getting them through the workday? Like that's some of the feedback that you guys got. Are you making an impact on their life? And so it made me think, do you guys go back and listen to your own episodes and be like, dang, I need to follow like I've been finding myself do that a lot, where I'd be like, girl, listen to your own advice.
Right.
You was talking big and bold on episode 32. You was talking big and bold on episode 69. How about you do that?
You said it.
Like, exactly. Like, do you ever go back, listen to your own stuff and be like, dang, this is what I need to do?
Well, we first want to thank you for extending the olive branch. Like you said, like the feelings are mutual. So I just want to make sure that that's out there. I'll let someone else answer. I'm getting chatty patty over here.
No, I agree with you. Thank you again. As Ash so eloquently stated. Thanks, Tony. We did in the beginning, like, would go back and listen to episodes religiously, and we would be very harsh on ourselves. Like, you are your own worst critic, and it's like, real relax. You sounded fine. You did good, but there are episodes that stand out to me specifically that I can speak to, because we have an inquiring mind section, and sometimes our inquiring mind can be personal to us individually, or it could just be a general question just to ask. And sometimes people forget, like, I'm still talking to my girlfriends, so they're giving me sound advice that I can truly know that they're coming from a good place. They're being transparent with me, they're being honest, they're coming from a loving place. And sometimes I'll jot down notes like, hey, let me just tuck this away for later. So there are moments that do stand out, that I just resonate with me in the time that I need it most. But we do, and a lot of times we might forget about episodes, and we'll get feedback from someone new or someone later that may reference something that we said or did. It's like, hey girl, didn't know that kind of thing. But it's dope, hearing someone quote you or something that you said is very shocking, but it's awing and it's humbling in its own right. And it does go back to your gifts and what are you using? What are you giving of yourself? What are you pouring into others? What are you saying? You are your own representation, the legacies that you leave. And so I think going back to those older episodes and just kind of thinking about some of the content, we do have a doc, so we kind of know what the evolution of the show is going to be, so we can go back and reference those. And a lot of times we know the precursors in the title of the episode, which is fun, but we do go back. Sometimes we'll discuss it later, but I think it's going to be an individual case by case per person.
So. Yeah. I really need to go back and listen. I think that once I get over that, I can like go back and like learn from listening to it, but I can't get over like the cringy part of it. And I need to stop, because I could really, I'm like missing like a huge learning opportunity. But for some reason, I just cannot stomach to go back and listen. I think that's stifling me, but I like to record it and then move on, because I think I'll fester about some things, or I'll be like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. And it's like, you said it, girl, move on. Like, because I'll mess around and lose sleep about it, and I don't want to be in that space. But I think I need to push through and listen and deal with it, and then learn, like you kind of said, like, dang, I should, take my own advice, but I ain't even got there, because sometimes I can't hear my voice, and I'm like, ugh, or I'm embarrassed about what I said. So, I'm going to try to be like you and go back and listen. I've been saying I'm going to do that for the last year, and I still haven't. So shame on me.
Yeah.
Ashley, listen.
I agree. Like, if you can get past the cringe, because that was a thing too. Like, oh my God, y'all listening to me for an hour and a half? Oh my God, no, don't do that. But if you can actually listen and you'll be like, you know what, that was some good advice and it's applicable now.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I'm definitely the same way. Like, it depends, like certain episodes I will go back to listen, especially those episodes where the audio sounded awful. Like, I need to hear it to hear how awful it sounded so that we could fix that. But for the most part, like, once we're done, I'm just like, I don't need to hear what I said. I know what I said because I said it and I seen it. So I said what I said. I said what I said. Okay. Just gonna move it right along.
Because I upload the episodes, Dooch does his thing, and then I bring it on home. I did start listening, like you said, Treese would give us like timestamps, so I would end up listening into the entire episode. I don't know if I would recommend that. That's when I got weird, y'all. Like, I got into a weird space with the podcast just because, and I think Teresa and Monica, like, they didn't listen as much. So it's like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, relax. But I'm thinking about it like at night or in the morning. That's the first thing that I was doing. And I had to figure out like that balance with it. Like, certain episodes, like advice that you gave, or if somebody maybe refers to the episode, you kind of can go back and listen. And of course, I think you should listen to properly like critique yourself, and so you can get better and improve. However, it was doing the opposite effect for me, where, as Monica said, you just start analyzing everything and just overthinking it. And that's not the purpose of the podcast. And then I would see it go into episodes where I used to be a little bit more free flowing, and then I was more scripted, but then I'd be stuttering, and it's like, what is your problem? And it's because you're in your own head. So I think like a healthy balance of that is good.
Yeah.
Just like maybe a check-in every once in a while, but if you're super like critical of yourself,
yes,
like you said, like you just want to get it out there and it's done. I said what I said, and ain't no going back now. And so learning not to listen to every little detail and critique it, and just really listen for like audio edits, did we take that out? That has helped a lot in learning to like let it go. But it's hard listening to yourself. It's harder, like you said, I said that, and listening to your advice and trying to apply it to ourselves. You know how it's always easy to give that advice, but taking it is something.
Girl, taking it is something else, child.
That's why I recommend, if it's something that stands out to you, write it down. Like even some of my favorite podcasts that I think are dope and amazing, if they say something that resonates, I write it down. I'm like, I can refer to this later. I have a notes section in my phone, or even just like a podcast journal, because you never know. So the ones that stand out, but like Ash said, there will be plenty of times I know I speak better than this. I'm very articulate. But if I say one wrong word, I'm like,
oh yes,
F-bombs everywhere.
You be sad, like, how could you say
that? I
know. Turning into Joan on Girlfriends, like,
oh, you're
not yes. She was like indifferent. What was the word? Like indifferent or something?
Yeah, she on the panel. Yeah.
She was like going in.
She was like, and everyone knows that the true meaning of that word is this. And I was like, girl, don't nobody know nothing.
Nobody cares.
And she was like, aha. And the lady was like, bro, I used it right. Like, relax.
Exactly.
So that would totally be me. Like, oh my God.
So what other podcasts do you guys listen to? I know you guys mentioned The Brilliant Idiots. We're big fans.
And
The Read. Is there anybody else that you guys listen to?
Me personally, one of my all-time favorites, Miley Teal's podcast. If you ever get a chance to tune into her, all sorts of gems, sorts of that is amazing for all women, but specifically Black women. I love No Real Jewelry by Jessica Lauren. I think she does an amazing job. It's really like, it's called the Sunday, No Real Jewelry is her Instagram, but it's called the Sunday Jumpstart. And I think it's an excellent way to jumpstart your week because it puts you in a positive mind, headspace, and, setting your intention for the week. She has quick tips just to like get the ball rolling, and it's all about like being your best self, showing up for the day and getting shit done. Like there's no other way to say it, but those are two of my top tier favorites that I listen to religiously. And I do like the Slay Girl Slay podcast. If you get a chance to listen to that by Ashley Legg.
Okay. Nice. Do you ladies have anything?
What you got, Ash?
In addition to the ones that we mentioned, I also listen to The Friend Zone. I really like that. I really also like the dynamic of them being a trio. It really helps to hear three people and how they navigate through, in addition to great advice. I also listen to, I'm trying to like look at my list, Getting Grown podcasts with Kia and Jade. I listen to Jade and XD. So that kind of that Reed family, kind of everybody in that structure I really relate to. And I listen to, what is it, Super Soul Sundays with Oprah. I listen to that one. I love me some TD Jakes, y'all. So
don't get us started.
So I listen to TD. I had to remember like that's not equivalent to going to church, but I'm working on that. I feel
it's like a re-up.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
re-up.
Exactly. And so I listen to this is not quite Black Girl Magic, but the Joe Budden podcast. Just for a different perspective, maybe, I guess.
We keep it real.
We'll leave it at that.
Balance.
Yeah, and I think I'm probably missing a couple. But I recently started with what's called the Dead Ass Podcast with Kadeen and Deval.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean,
for them from,
Yeah.
a millennial marriage is what they call it. So
Yeah.
I listen to them as well. I'm sure I'm missing someone, but who do you listen to, Monty?
All of those. And the other one I would probably say that I listen to is probably In Theory podcast. His name is Terry Theory. He's like based out in DC. I love him so much. But I did just want to say shout out to all the Milwaukee podcasts. I just don't feel like anybody does podcasts like Milwaukee.
Nobody.
Special.
Yeah. Nobody. Yes.
And we got a whole pattern family.
Yes.
Like it's a thing.
We totally always get that feedback. Like Kiana from Ohio, now she lives in Nashville, mentioned it. Like Milwaukee is lit with the podcast. Our LA people always, when they come out here, they're like,
they like, dude, what are y'all doing?
Yes,
crazy.
It's crazy.
It's
like,
a community.
It is. It really is. Yeah.
Family.
So shout out to everybody.
Yes.
Awesome. Y'all got some good lists. I'm gonna have to add some.
What do you guys listen to?
Yeah, who do you all listen to?
Washington.
Brunch with Besties.
Right.
Patrice Washington has a podcast. That's where I heard Myleik Till. She came on Patrice.
She's amazing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Brown Ambition podcast. Oh, Insecurity.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. Insecurity. I love Crystal and Friend.
Crystal and Friend. Hey, friend. Hey.
So
there's a bunch more. I just feel like I can't think of them right now.
I've definitely been listening to Expeditiously too with T.I.
Oh yeah.
You know what? So I guess this is kind of a podcast, but it's on YouTube. Scarlett has me listening to Mondays, Murders, and Makeup. So this girl, and this is not Black Girl Magic at all.
Okay.
You about to go whiter than white.
Okay.
But she sits there and she does her makeup and she's telling you about like a murder mystery. And I be just sitting there like, yes, and get that highlighter. Yes. And oh my God, he did what? 17 people? Oh my goodness. But I can just watch that all day.
Yeah, she is so
interesting.
Yeah. Like I'll be on the treadmill like, so that's 10,000 steps already? Okay. We good. Oh yeah, I love a good podcast. So what are you guys looking to do with D-Tip? What are the next steps? You know, like you said, you're 4 years in. You always go back to the vision and the mission. It has made you guys better, right? Iron sharpens iron. You guys were able to come together, resolve whatever differences there were, and commit to resolving whatever comes up in the future, right? And you're all bringing your whole selves. You're committed to each other. You're committed to the podcast. What's next?
Yes.
Good question.
Look, we had a lot of goals set out for ourselves this year. We were in the middle of like planning a live show, and then pandemic happened. Like I think that same week Treese was supposed to go, and he canceled the meeting because
we had a telephone meeting, and it was like, okay, I'll keep you updated. But then we got the call from the notion and mandate from Governor Evers that the city was shut down.
But you guys did do the Milwaukee Podcast Festival. So shout out to y'all ladies for that.
Yes, that was such a good time.
It was good times. Y'all did a great job.
Y'all did.
And Treese gave somebody her
yes,
draws. Just gonna throw that out
there. Yes.
I love it.
You know, somebody asked, like, did you really give him your panties? They were a brand new pair with the tag on.
See, I would have had to get a smaller size. Like, I'd have been like, we just gonna give you a medium. This ain't nowhere near where we really are. But take this medium and sit your little self back. Don't ever ask me to put them on, because that ain't happening.
Shout out to Renee for being a good sport. It was just like a nice added prop to the GTD segment.
Yes.
So, like, you got the jobs.
That was awesome. All right. Well, y'all, I mean, it's definitely delayed, not denied.
Delayed and not denied.
Yeah.
I love that.
For sure.
We're on the lookout. We coming back.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna keep doing the work and keep touching the people and making an impact on our listeners. So we'll still be there or here for that. But as far as like events and stuff, to be continued.
And I like what you ladies said, how, you know, you reinvent. Like you said, it doesn't have to be the same. And I think, you know, we have a structure, but, you know, sometimes it can get monotonous and routine. And so I do think we should probably maybe just discover and just switching up a little bit, you know. It definitely works for us, but, I guess it is time to reevaluate and, kind of see what's working well and maybe what's not. So
keep it fresh.
Keep it fresh. Just
That
like
was
the draw,
God.
girl. Keep it
Listen.
fresh.
That's right. Exactly.
Keep it fresh. That is funny. So now we have to do our to-go box. This is where we're going to take away something from the episode. So I'm going to start with you, Chanel. What are you taking away? What goes in the to-go box?
What's gonna go on my to-go box is just to keep going. There are some days where, I'm just like, okay, we gotta go do the podcast. Like, but then once I get here, it's just like, okay, this is what it's all about. Like having these experiences, having these conversations, like it means the world to me, like to do that. Once I get over my laziness of like, I gotta drive there, I gotta go. But then once I get here, I'm just like, that was my favorite episode. Like every time.
She says that every time we get done recording. I'll be like, dude, it can't be every single one. It's not possible.
Right. But today. Just have a good time, hanging with my bestie, because we do get busy and, we definitely are conscious about this time and being here and being present. So it is like, it means everything. And then, again, like talking to you all, I was very excited about that because it was just like, wow, like 2 podcasts coming together and this is going to be awesome. And it has been. So that's what I'm taking away.
Yes.
And Monica, what about you?
I'm going to take the good energy. Like, this was awesome. Like Ash said, we just kind of been tunnel vision doing our pod every week. So this was like a good shake up for us, something different. Always great to collab with other ladies, especially ladies from Milwaukee. So I'm going to take all this good energy and the good vibes because we needed this.
Yeah.
And Ashley Joe?
Yes, similar. I second that motion. We need to kind of get outside of our box a little, more in collab. We're all in this thing together. Like you said, people need to see that women, particularly Black women, are creatives. We can work together, and try to get out of our zone a little bit more and collab and mingle and network a little bit, like Monica just said. And you said, Chanel, this was awesome. It was much needed. This is my favorite episode. And so I'm just really thankful to be here. And yeah, I'm walking away. I'm walking on sunshine right now, feeling really energized and good,
inspired,
and renewed and inspired.
Absolutely.
Motivated.
Absolutely.
Do better.
And Latrice.
I have a little something extra in my to-go box. While I agree with the ladies, just talking about realignment and just reevaluating everything, not just the pod, but just in life in general. It's so important to always reevaluate whatever it is as you strive to walk into your purpose and our purpose with the pod, and how that will overlap into what we're supposed to be doing individually and how we're impacting and reaching others. The second thing I'm taking is the delayed and not denied. I really, really believe that, everything has its own purpose, its own timing. And so usually when something is delayed, it's preparing you for something greater than we could have ever even imagined. So Monica talked about our live podcast. Who knows, by the time we're ready to do a live podcast, it could be a sponsor podcast from HBO. We might as well just speak it into existence right now. Okay. So
listen, God, I see what you're doing for others.
Okay.
Now.
Exactly. Might as well speak it into existence.
2 Dope Queens.
2 Dope Queens.
Yes.
They had their run.
Yep. Maybe Issa might want us on an episode of Insecure, in the background. Who knows?
Don't forget about your besties.
Listen, don't forget about the girls.
Don't forget about us. But I really think that is something that is applicable to every area of our life, because a lot of times, and even in the pod, goals that we have set for ourselves for this year that were kind of placed on hold, obviously a delay, but it's really a blessing in disguise. It's all about perspective and how you look at it. So that's what I'm packing into my to-go box. So I'm excited to take those nuggets home with me.
To-go box.
Yes.
Okay. And for me, so I'm inspired by talking to you ladies. Listening to some of the things that you guys said. You know, one of the things that you guys said was about the "don't take it personal" mantra, right? How it's a disclaimer, but it's also a reminder. Like it's serving multiple purposes, right? And it's just to help you evolve and grow and learn, and that's what we're about. So we're trying to do that as well. So take what you want to take, leave what's not serving you. You know. And then you guys also talked about how the podcast serves you, how you're serving others, obviously, but then it's also to serve you. So it's just a reminder for us to get what we need from the podcast. You know what I mean? So it's also a tool for us. Like, yes, we want to pour into other women. We want to, upbuild and do all that stuff, but it's also to serve us as well in the moment when we are having those conversations and get what I need from my bestie, So, because we have our times when we come on here crying too. I don't go back and listen to those episodes. I'll be like, nope, I ain't gonna do it. Ain't gonna catch me.
No thanks.
No thanks. Shoot, might not even upload it. No, not that one. But in the moment, it served me because I needed to talk to my bestie, and that's just how it came out. And sometimes that's just how the conversation goes, But to show up as whoever I am in that moment. So the girl that cries, the girl that laughs, she the same girl.
All that.
All of them. She the same girl.
Plus some.
And in a safe space.
And in a safe space.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing that we talked about before too, is having an environment that's conducive to healing.
Yeah.
So whatever that looks like, it could be laughing, it could be us just being dumb as hell sometimes.
Right.
Too.
That's
sometimes
necessary.
it's crying.
Yeah, for sure.
It is what it
all
is.
that. It is what it is.
And sometimes it all happens on the same episode.
Yep.
Those are the best.
Right. Occasionally it does. Love it.
Absolutely. So thanks for tuning in to Brunch with Besties podcast. Until next time, peace.